大怪盗アルセーヌ・ルパンが残した不思議な宝物ルパンコレクションがギャングラーに奪われた。失ったものを取り戻すために戦う怪盗、世界の平和を守るために戦う警察、君はどっちを応援する？
Hello and welcome to LupinRecap vs. PatReview, the podcast that's storing up a storm. I'm your host, Lokamasi, and with me is my lovely co-host, Fefner Masamune.
Toku shows are for good boys and girls of many different ages, so we shoved the Lupin Rangers into a vault so no kids would emulate their cool crime doings.
And that's right, we're a Lupin Ranger vs. Pat Ranger recap and review podcast. I've given up on understanding your references. We're 50 episodes in. We're long past the point where you're referencing things I've never heard of. Today we're going to talk about episode 50, but first, for the penultimate pre-show discussion question and the last discussion question I actually had to pick, I decided I wanted to spend some time talking about the next episode previews that show up in this show and many others. So, there have been studies that have shown that for TV shows, the ratings go up the more you spoil an upcoming episode. That gets misquoted sometimes as people enjoy something more the more it's been spoiled, but that's not really measurable. What we can measure is that the more the marketing for spoils for an episode, the more people watch.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. They're like, hey, here's this thing that happens, and people are like, oh heck, that thing happens? I gotta go watch that.
Yeah. I appreciate, for most Toku shows, they do a good job at, generating interest.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really show you the resolution of something, and if they do show you the end of something, they hide the fact that it's the end.
Yeah.
They do a very good job of showing, here's all this shit that happens, and you go, well, fuck, I gotta watch now. How's that gonna turn out? I don't want to get too specific because we're watching the show now, but there are a couple examples of Kamen Rider X8 where they hint that a character is going to transform in a certain way, and they don't. I like when they try and generate, interest through really evocative or weird things, but that feels like a flat-out lie. Sometimes you just don't have the context. That felt like I was being deceived.
M's gonna go Super Saiyan, what?
M's gonna turn into Snipe. Why would he do that? Oh, they just lied to me.
Ah, you did a lie. I see.
Okay, this isn't a next episode preview, but I have to talk about the most fucking blatant thing I've seen that's similar to a next episode preview.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I was in the same room as a TV that was playing Pawn Stars. And every episode of that show opens with, a couple of brief scenes and lines from later in the episode.
Yep.
One point, somebody had brought in an antique gun. And the owner of the store says, did you check to make sure this thing is loaded? It cuts to the customer going, Then they play a gunshot noise, and one of the regulars in the show, one of the main four characters, is screaming. And then cuts to another character going, oh my god. And nothing like that happens in the episode. Those lines don't show up. That character doesn't even hurt himself to scream. I kept waiting for, the dumbest explanation, and it was just a flat-out lie, and that was the last episode of Pawn Stars I ever watched.
Nobody got shot. This sucks ass. Don't lie to me.
Well, here's the thing. If, later they took the gun to a shooting range, and if, that's where the "are you sure this thing was loaded" lines came from, I would have laughed. That would have actually been funny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that somebody need to get shot, but I'm saying is that when you say this is going to happen later in the episode, those lines better be in the fucking episode.
What fucking scam are you trying to run, History Network?
It's weird. I don't mind being tricked, but I hate being lied to. It's a very thin line you have to walk. So yeah, this was sort of a weird one, so I don't know if you had anything you wanted to say.
Nothing in particular. I'm the opposite in that I don't like being spoiled by next episode previews, though in fairness that's also because typically I end up binge watching stuff, so if I watch the next episode preview of an old show that just spoils what's going to happen in the next episode, it's just like, I'm about to watch that in like 5 minutes, guys. Come on.
Yeah, the next episode previews for this show are like completely different from original Kamen Rider, which you've also been watching.
Yeah. Kamen Rider just says, hey, here's a villain. They're going to do some bad stuff.
Yeah, it's very much here is the setup. This show is like, here is the setup, and also some scenes wildly out of context.
Here's Iguana Man. Is Kamen Rider going to be able to beat this guy? Who knows? Find out next week, kids. Maybe Kamen Rider will just be thrown off a cliff, but then he'll just jump in midair. Who knows?
I refuse to be killed by a koala man. Next episode, Kamen Rider is killed by a koala man.
I forget, is The Spirit Bomb Failed an actual episode title of Dragon Ball, or is that just like one of those joke things where people use that phrase a lot, but it's not an actual thing, or like it's not an actual episode title?
I don't know off the top of my head. It wouldn't surprise me.
Because I don't like super spoilery titles, and I guess it doesn't matter too much for next episode previews in that regard, just because, like, if a title spoils things, you're gonna learn it in the next episode, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if I were watching in real time, then it'd just be, oh, now I gotta just wait on this for a week, cool. Spirit Bomb fails? Alright, well, guess I know what I'm going to be watching next Saturday, the Spirit Bomb failing.
Yeah, I don't mind it too much if it's like something that happens really early on. Or
Daystra
like
blows up a city. Yeah, that's right. That's not the end of the episode.
yeah, or something that's like properly set up at the end of the previous episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, it's really hard to give like set in stone rules because no matter what rule I could come up with, you could probably show me a preview that breaks it that I like.
Yeah. I guess just ideally my favorite next episode previews are usually just like in character ones. I'm like huge on fourth wall breaking humor anymore, or at least ones that are sort of done badly. But stuff like that where it's just the characters talking about the next episode are always really nice.
Yeah.
Because the joke isn't just, hey, they're breaking the fourth wall. It's just, hey, fucking voice actors get to chill out and describe the next episode for a sec.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop has the best ones of those.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the one that's done by Ein. Because it's not only Ein freaking out, Jet is just going, I see.
Yep.
Is that right?
Gonna be quite the episode.
Which is such a fucking dad thing to do.
But yeah, I guess Toku shows, though, do seem like they have pretty good previews.
I was going to say one of the best parts of doing this podcast is listening to you freak out over the next episode previews every week.
Yep. And, like, early on, I guess it was just sort of an unsaid rule that we didn't really want to talk about them, and then I just ended up breaking that partway through because...
I think it was a said rule. I think you explicitly said I don't want to talk about next episode previews.
Okay, so I did say it, and I tried my best, because, it's the next episode preview. It's technically self-explanatory, but at the same time, there just came a point where I was like, you know what? I just want to talk about these. Plus,
at some point, it became, guys, you're never going to believe what's going to happen next episode.
Plus, like, it's kind of hard to talk about predictions, given most of my predictions were done off of the next episode previews towards the end. And it was actually a pretty good jumping off point for predictions.
Yeah. So with that, I think we can move on to the episode proper.
Alright, so the penultimate episode, episode 50, Forevermore Adieu. I don't think I ever said it when we switched subs, but I do kind of like Eternal Adieu a little more as a phrase.
Yeah. Goodbye forever.
So we pick back up during Red's fight with Zamigo. Zamigo has the upper hand, but Red still managed to activate Victory Striker. Meanwhile, giant Potamen are still attacking the town. Sangu and Nigu are already transformed and on the scene, but aren't able to do a thing until Ichigo and X arrive. X mentions having to repair Good Striker after their last fight, and Goody is anxious to get out there and beat up some Potamen. He can still do that at least.
Mhm.
X hands Siren Striker to Ichigo, who hesitates before taking it. The group activates both Siren, Pat Kaiser, and X Emperor, and the fight against a bunch of Potamen goes as well as you would assume. I guess everybody needed one more easy fight before the final bosses begin.
This is just my self-esteem.
We then cut back to the hospital where Umika wakes up. The officer watching her notices and enters the room. He tells her she's in a global police hospital and is probably about to tell her that she and Tuma are under arrest. But he's knocked out from behind by Tuma, who's also just woken up. I'm sure Tuma's been waiting the entire season to knock out a cop.
Here's my theory. Toma woke up an hour ago and just did a very good job of staying still.
I also figured that when I rewatched the episode. He's just been waiting.
Yep, he was just full on Solid Snake waiting for an opportunity.
And then somebody...
I want to edit that scene and put in the CQC icon.
And then another man comes in and he's all bandaged up, but he also sounds suspiciously like Shogo Hama as well. Umika and Tuma make their escape, and they're covered by the intro. Thanks, intro. We resume the episode with the sound of a window breaking. Blue and Yellow have broken into the HQ office and begin searching the drawers for their versus changer. However, they're quickly met by Tsukasa and Sakia, both having drawn their guns. Elsewhere, Kaichiro meets Noel under a bridge. Noel says that what he's about to do will put his team in danger, but there's no one else he can ask. Back at the HQ, Sakia asks Umika to return to the hospital, but she refuses. She says that if she defeats Zamigo, her friend will be returned. Tsukasa tells them that their reckless decision could get them killed, but Tuma interrupts her by telling her that Kairi is being even more reckless right now. Umika says that she doesn't want to lose anybody else important to her, and she'll do anything to stop it from happening. For a moment, everybody stands in silence. But soon after, Tsukasa and Sakia relinquish the Lupin's versus changers. Tsukasa says that she can't let any of them get hurt either. Sakia also sympathizes, but says that this is all he can do. Umika thanks them, and Sakia says that he wishes they could have met them 2 years ago so that he could have helped her before she became a phantom thief. Umika assures him that because they met when they did, she got to know how great he is. Because he sucked ass before episode 2, you see. Tsukasa wishes them luck once more, and Tuma returns the favor before he and Umika rush out the same way they came in.
What do you mean sucked ass before episode 2? You mean before, during, and after?
He was number 1 on my list for a while. 5 episodes. And immediately after, lowered.
Top 10 Tokusatsu betrayals. Sakia betraying me, the viewer, personally.
Finally, we get back to the Zamigo fight. But even powered up, Red's losing the battle. He does manage one last bit of resistance as he thrusts Zamigo's hand away just before he's shot, but the fact of the matter is that he's running out of steam. Zamigo punches him in the face, and then kicks him so hard he detransforms and rolls into a different room. Zamigo follows him, throws his previous guns away, and takes out one more for the killing shots. Freezing into a block of ice so he can be skinned later shot. Whatever. Anyway,
the shot that seals your doom, but does not kill you, technically.
Zamigo set his gun to stun.
So he can kill you later.
Anyway, shots come firing through the roof to interrupt Zamigo before 2 Zords blow it to bits. Zamigo survives, of course, but Yellow and Blue leap down and escort Red immediately off the premises. Zamigo takes his human form, amused as ever with the Lupins. A ways away, Kairi asks the other two why they came back for him. Umika does the nose grab thing Kairi always does to her, and tells him that their death pact can go jump in a lake. Tuma tells him that they came together this far, so he shouldn't just go off on his own. Then Umika follows that up with, more like, even if you do, we'll just follow you anyway. I do really like this relationship. Kairi pouts a bit and asks when he became Mr. Popular. Umika and Tuma help him to his feet, and they swear they'll defeat Zamigo, save the people they care about, and, in the end, they'll all smile together. Remember that wording. Once again, they do their vow pose, and Noel joins in out of nowhere. He says that he came up with a plan to defeat Zamigo and pulls out Crane and Biker. But enough about that. Back at HQ, Hilltop is incredulous that that's a thing Noel did. Kaito apologizes, but Jim, covered in tape because he's been patching up the window, mentions that Tsukasa and Sakia gave the Lupons their versus changers back, so they're in the doghouse as well. Tsukasa says she won't make excuses, but she's cut off by Sakia waltzing forward and declaring that he was slacking off. Hilltop just fucking sits down. Suddenly, just in case you thought this episode was too lighthearted, we cut to a group of people running from, you guessed it, Degranio, with an army of Podamen. He activates one of his safe powers, decimating the block. Jim suddenly gets an alert that a 2-kilometer range centering around Asahina has been wiped out. Hilltop tells them that this is in their hands, and the tactical unit moves out. We then cut to Zamigo, who's just out in the open, telling the Lupin Rangers to come out. The camera eventually spins around him to the building behind him, where the Phantom Thieves are waiting. Zamigo points out that there's 4 of them now, and the Phantom Thieves basically just tell him to fuck off because they don't fight fair. They're Phantom Thieves. They Kaito change, and we get a very angry roll call this time around. Blue sounds like he's just going to pull out a normal-ass gun and shoot Zamigo once the intro's over. Zamigo also transforms and starts firing. Nearby, the Pat Rangers approach Degranio, and Kaisatsu change. They don't get a full intro, though. They just transform and start fighting the Podamen. Special shout out to Ichigo, who just fucking picks up one of the Podamen. The Podamen are quickly dispatched, and the Pat Rangers turn their attention to Degranio. While that slaughter happens, we return to the Zamigo fight. Despite the usual stalemate, the Lupin Rangers are putting up a decent fight. Eventually, Zamigo takes aim at Blue, and Red runs in and manages to disarm Zamigo before he fires. Red says that Zamigo probably can't liquefy if he gets hit with an ice shot, and Zamigo runs. Red predicts his path and fires, only for Zamigo to dodge the bullet, which instead hits X. Zamigo chuckles and continues attacking Red.
Terry, you fucking idiot.
Red manages to partially block Zamigo's gun with the one he stole, but Zamigo slowly pushes his gun to face Red. He's ready to put an end to this rivalry, but there's one thing he wasn't counting on. Red twists the handle of Zamigo's gun, which summons X and breaks him out of the ice, right behind Zamigo. Turns out the Lupins figured out Zamigo's gimmick. And, Red can also predict the future. Why would he miss Zamigo?
Surprise, turns out almost killing one of my own teammates was part of my plan.
Whoops. Red grabs Zamigo's arm as X opens his ass safe, 3, 3, 5, and retrieves Evade-toi l'autre côté. That somehow the last word was the one I had problems with. Anyway, Red then lets him go, and X kicks him off the fucking roof. With Zamigo's new advantage now gone, it looks as though the Lupin Rangers will finally defeat him. Except a moment later, they're interrupted by Yugo rolling into the scene. The Pat Rangers de-transform, both Yugo and their standard armor, and they're almost finished off by a giant laser. X runs in and blocks the entire thing, which of course knocks him into a wall and out of his ranger form. The Lupins run over to him, and Degranio casually walks in. Zamigo then decides on a new plan. He asks Degranio if he can enter his safe. Kinky. Red asks Zamigo if he's running, but Zamigo says that he just doesn't want any more interruptions. Degranio tells him that, unless he wills it, there's no getting out of his safe. But Zamigo is sure about this, so Degranio agrees and opens up. Zamigo tells the Lupins to come and get him, and enters. The Lupin Rangers immediately want to chase him, but Noel warns against it. You know, for the aforementioned can't escape reason. But Kyrie nabs Crane, Biker, and Siren Striker from him, and tells him to leave Zamigo to them. After all, Noel's also about saving the world. The Jour trio walks towards Degranio, and Red hands Siren and Crane to the other two. Kaitro yells after them, and Red stops for a moment. He then exits his super form, and hands Kaitro Victory Striker. Kaitro doesn't take it, so Red kneels down and puts it right in his hand and tells him to take care of the world for them. Yellow also gives Sakya magic, and Blue gives Tsukasa scissors. Red gives the tactical unit an adieu, and the Lupin Rangers rush off into Granio's safe. The Lupin Rangers find themselves in the final area of a JRPG, which shifts locations until they arrive in an open field. Yellow notices some of the collection pieces floating about, but there's no time to dwell on that. Zamigo...
I somehow forgot of the multitudes of worlds that were in the safe.
Yep.
I just remember the field.
It's a pretty cool field, but yeah, that intro is, it's quite the thing.
It's super JRPG intro, or final boss intro.
It really is. God, should have been a Lupin Rangers JRPG. Would have fit perfectly. Zamigo welcomes them, and is excited that they can finally fight without interruption. Red calls it the perfect setup, and after some close-up tearaways, they all rush towards one another. Outside, Degranio thinks he's about to waltz on out and continue blowing up Japan, but the tactical unit won't allow it. They Kaisatsu change and start firing, while we shift back to the fight in Degranio's safe. Blue and Yellow tells Amigo that they're used to fighting him by now, and Red tells him that he shouldn't underestimate those thieves everybody's been talking about. They clash again, and when Zamigo throws away some of his used guns, Blue and Yellow toss their versus changers aside and rush towards him with the trigger machines in hand. Once attached, the triggers and the safe keys glow green, and Blue and Yellow enter some numbers. Zamigo calls them both idiots because he already told them his power doesn't come from a collection piece. He freezes them both solid, and they shatter. Zamigo laughs, approaches Red, and throws his guns aside. He then moves to take out two more, only to find his safes don't open. Red tells him that they win, and we flash back to Noel's plan. While the Dial Fighters can unlock saves, trigger machines have the ability to lock them and change their combinations. Some people might forget that Noel worked on all of the collection pieces, not just the Dial Fighters.
I really like that this is a power that is completely useless except for this one specific point.
Yeah, it makes sense why it didn't come up before, because why would you ever need to lock a safe?
And I do kind of want to see the thought process of, Noel's like, awesome, I've created this device that can scramble a Ganglar safe code and lock it so they can't access it. Well, how does that help?
Couldn't prank him.
He just, slowly puts the trigger machine down and just goes and sits in the corner and thinks for a while.
Just put an alarm clock in their safe, change the combination, they can't open it anymore. I mean, technically speaking, theoretically, it would have been useful for stopping Ganglars from stealing the collection. Just lock their saves and then they can't really do anything because they can't get extra powers. Part of the problem is, though, they still have other powers, and they kind of stole the entire collection before that could ever be put into use.
And if you have time to lock a Ganglar safe, you also have the time to try and kill them.
Without the ability to create new guns, Zamigo is a sitting duck. He tries to grab one of the versus changers and use it, but Red merely fires it out of his hands, before shooting him in the head and launching his hat off. Red pulls out the Magnum and charges his special attack. With one last forevermore adieu, Red pulls the trigger once Zamigo's hat shatters against the ground. Zamigo is blasted clean through the chest and begins to shatter. A chunk of ice breaks off of him, and we see an image of his human form, who says this was a real good time. An adios accompanies Zamigo's explosion. And, as the Lupins predicted, those who had been frozen return to the site of their disappearance. We see Kyrie's brother reappear, and blue flower petals scatter before his feet. Aya returns alongside the other people, and Tuma is the first name she utters as she returns to consciousness. The same goes for Shiho, who asks for Umiko once she reappears in the mall. And, within Degranio's safe, Yellow and Blue return. Red leaps in amongst Zamigo's post-mortem petals and knocks his friends to the floor with a big hug. Red exclaims that they beat Zamigo, so their loved ones will be returned. Their wish has finally come true. Everyone, even Kyrie and Tuma, look emotional. In the background, the Jur trio hug one another and roll around. The camera pans over to their dial fighters in the foreground, being gently showered by blue petals. But it's not quite over yet, because the Pat Rangers are still getting their asses kicked. But on the bright side, they receive a report that the disappearance victims have all returned. Hey, a silver lining before Degranio kills all of them again. Degranio laughs because while Zamigo may be dead, the Phantom Thieves are still locked up tight in his safe. His laughter echoes as the episode ends, and all seems bleak before the Pat Rangers begin their final battle. Alright, well then, I guess we'll just start off in the usual way. It's Ganglar time.
Let's talk about the Ganglar.
Zamigo's dead, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Been there in spirit since episode 1.
Yes. So overall, how did you feel about Zamigo as a villain?
I thought he was pretty good.
Did you think he was underutilized?
I don't think so, because, part of his threat is that he has his ice guns, which, even after knowing they don't kill you, will still put you in a position where you can't really help anyone anymore if you get shot, so it is effectively a one-hit kill. So he's really threatening early on, so you didn't want to overuse him early on. Otherwise, it would seem a bit silly that you have somebody that dangerous appearing frequently enough where he really should be getting some killing blows.
Yeah.
But, in addition to that, the more tools the Lupins got, the easier Zamigo got. He was still a threat all the way through, but they utilized him just enough where he still seemed threatening, even though he didn't have anything too new to bring to the table when the Lupins got something new that could help them. And then just at the point where they pretty much had everything they needed, he got that last second ass safe and was able to use something that made him basically immortal. So his threat level just shot right up.
The thing about Zamigo is that a lot of his appearances happen in the final stretch of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there were a couple of Tumblr posts from people who were pissed off that Zamigo wasn't showing up enough, but I think those were made midway through the show.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is one of the perils of watching something as it comes out.
Yeah.
It's hard to know the difference between good pacing, and they just forgot about this character.
Yeah. But yeah, Destra could appear a little more frequently, just because while he exploded stuff, they were able to vary him up at least a little bit, and also we've talked about sort of the curve with him before of him just being utterly terrifying, but everybody's sort of doing a little bit better against him every time. And you don't really want that with Zamigo, because again, his threat is that he can just kill you. He just needs one good shot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was sort of the reason he couldn't show up early at all.
oh yeah.
They had no counter to him.
Yeah, if he appeared in episode 1, present day, it's done. He just walks up to Relay Frog. Don't worry, I got this. I'll end the show immediately. Don't worry, my best friend Relay Frog. I wouldn't let you die.
Given like his overall presence in the show, he was well utilized as a personal threat, a personal villain for the Lupin Rangers.
Yeah. I appreciate that the Pat Rangers also had a reason to hate him, but also, in the end, he was, mostly for the Lupins. Especially since he just said, I really want to fight the Lupins.
Mm-hmm.
I love those guys. They're entertaining. They do flips. It's cool.
But yeah, as far as like character development, he doesn't have anything.
Yeah, he doesn't really
This
have...
is not a show where we develop our villains at all.
Yeah, they have moments, especially Destra.
Mm-hmm. They have personalities. They're just not particularly compelling. They're just sort of there to keep things moving.
They are good as villains. It's fine to have non-sympathetic villains. That can happen. It's allowed.
Yeah, happens in real life more often than you're willing to admit.
Well,
You
at least
being
you
the-
can find Zamigo amusing.
I was gonna say you being the viewer, but our only viewer is Jenner, so I don't know who I'm talking to.
Well, now that we're almost done with the show, we'll get a whole lot of post-mortem views. People will be like,
Yeah.
hey, this is rad. Why don't you do more of this?
A lot of people just, oh hey, somebody talked about this show.
But yeah, I've never really thought of rankings for, the main villains of the show, and I don't think I'm going to start. Because I don't know if I like him more or less than any of the other main ganglars.
See,
He's got
here's the
a
thing.
good personality for what he does, and that he's very detached and also kills a lot of people.
I will say Daystro's the best.
I think so too.
Daystro's
I like
number
them all.
1. Number 2 is Tokagale.
I like them all for various reasons, but I do think I like Destra the most, just because the closest thing the villains have to development is more or less going back to normalcy. This is just a story of Degranio getting his groove back, and it all starts with Destra's death, where Degranio just really misses when Destra went out and blew up towns. And then, for that one brief shining moment, Destra reclaims his old power and really shows it to the humans. And then he's killed, and Degranio just gets sad for a while, and then a couple other dipshits come in and have the worst plans, and Degranio's just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm back in the game. I can't retire, look at these fools.
God.
My right-hand man is dead, I let my left-hand woman die, fuck it, I'm getting back in it. Zamiga's a shit, not letting him in the gang.
It's time for you to choose my successor. Oh wait, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead or a douchebag. Guess I'm not gonna die.
I guess I just can never retire. I mean, he is a millennial.
God. I can't name an heir. I can't afford to die. All my would-be heirs are too fucking stupid, useless, or dead.
Fucking, what, am I gonna give it to the toothbrush guy's brother? Pfft, no.
Toothbrush
Pinguino
guy's
family?
brother,
No.
the dental floss guy. The Pinguino family. Fuck all of those motherfuckers. Oh god, Pinguino's mom still chews me out for not giving Pinguino a fucking safe power. God. I ran out. What does she want me to do?
I ran out, and quite frankly, I hate Pinguino. Am I gonna give him the black hole safe or collection piece? No.
I like us saying that he ran out because he gave Ghost 3 safe powers despite her only having 1 safe.
And he just keeps 10 to himself.
God, he keeps hundreds to himself. There's a lot in the sky.
I ran out of safe powers. Are you sure? Yep, no more collection pieces. Positive. Okay, you can
Gee.
check my safe if you want to see. On second thought, I guess I won't.
You
God,
check
they
my
just...
save if you want. And he starts glowing.
God, the Lupin Rangers just, like, walk a little bit out of the fields and they just find piles upon piles of the Penguino family's bodies.
Why does he have to hide? Toku villains explode when they die. There
He
wouldn't be
made
anything
sure
in there.
these didn't.
God.
He
Way
took
to be a
all
fucking
of the
weirdo.
dynamite out of their bodies. But yeah, anything else about Samigo?
I mean, not really. He's really fun to watch, but not super fun to talk about.
Yeah, I guess he
There's nothing
makes a
to
good.
really pick apart.
I guess he makes a good foil or dragon, whichever phrase you want to use, to Degranio because he doesn't give a fuck about anything.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good idea to make him the second to last Ganglar.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, if Zamigo died earlier and we were fighting Daystra this episode, it wouldn't have the same impact.
Yeah, because Destra doesn't really have the emotional impact for the Lupins.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's the main thing about Zamigo. It's not who he is, it's who he represents and what happens when he dies.
Yep.
If this was just a revenge story, I don't think it would have the same impact, but because killing him literally saves their family members, it actually works really well.
Oh yeah, like, that last scene in the safe is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know if we have anything else to talk about, but we can talk perhaps about predictions.
Let me think if I
Because
want
we
to talk...
now have a dilemma.
Yeah, let me think if I have anything to talk about. I want to talk about the show broadly in the next episode, so that'll probably fit a lot of stuff. Final battle is pretty cool, but yeah, I just really love... Like, the set piece for Zamigo's last battle is just a big field with a weird sky, but it really works. It looks super cool.
It's really striking. Like I mentioned, I completely forgot all the other like JRPG world shifting nonsense that happened before it because I just really remembered that setting.
Yeah,
It's very unlike anything we've really seen in this show. We've probably seen some places like that a lot in real life, but in the show it's mostly cityscapes or hell.
Yeah, so shout-outs to whoever was behind the effects. You did a good job. But yeah, the scene with everybody just getting emotional that the whole thing works is just really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that in the end, even Kairi smiles and just hugs everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll probably talk more about the Lupin's overall plot next time, but it's really nice that they're the team that's super flashy and all that, but, like, their ending is just kind of peaceful. They did what
Yeah.
they set out to, and even if they're going to die, they're happy.
Mm-hmm. Time to make good on that promise.
Yeah. And of course that came up, as I said, it wouldn't, like, episode 1. Umika just straight up says, fucking our death pact is dumb and bad.
Mm-hmm. Our death pact is dumb and bad, I say minutes before we fulfill it.
Well, nobody said anything about after it. This is a new death pact.
Death pacts are always bad.
But, yeah,
We here
okay.
at LupinRecap versus PatReview do not endorse death pacts.
Yep. So, with that prediction...
In fact, we're the only podcast to officially condemn death pacts.
Have the McElroy brothers done it? Maybe not. It's hard
I'm
to
not
tell.
saying Griffin McElroy endorses death pacts, but if not, why hasn't he said anything?
He hasn't denied them, probably. There's hundreds of episodes, and I'm not going to check back through them again just to find one instance of them talking about death pacts.
Actually, given the law of averages, there's not averages, the law of large numbers. There's probably a higher chance that I'm willing to admit that he is condemned death facts. Maybe not in the Bim Bam, maybe in the Adventure Zone, actually.
But, yeah, I guess with that, it's time to talk about predictions. Okay, so.
So there's a main one. You predicted the Lupin Rangers were going to die in this episode.
I didn't say die, but I figured they'd be out of commission. I was sort of right, sort of wrong, in that they did fulfill what they set out to do, but they are in a safe technically for eternity, unless the Pat Rangers can figure out a way to get them out.
Or kill Degranio. Then the safe explodes and they die in fire.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I was primarily thinking that Degranio would outlast Amigo, since, he's got stupid amounts of powers. Mm-hmm. So that prediction over they have to fight both of them at the same time came true.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I predict?
Yeah, the only two I have down are who's going to be the final villain and Lupin Rangers will fucking die.
But yeah, I guess they could always die next time. So, the episode preview did a pretty good job of not showing if the Lupins would appear outside the safe.
Mm-hmm.
I will
Several shots of Keishiro crying.
Yep, crying, has a gun to Degranio, who's on his knees, seemingly not wanting to fire. There was one shot of the Lupins in their Phantom Thief outfits in a just a nondescript background. Most of the Lupin Ranger shots are in the field, just hanging out waiting for death, I guess. So the shots of them against the wall could just be, post-mortem, remembering the Phantom Thieves.
Mm-hmm. Or just promotional shots.
Yeah.
We shot this specifically for the next episode preview and it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. So they could very well die. I will say one thing that I did notice that they let slip is both of the strikers are outside of the safe in the next episode preview, because we see Victory and Siren in use. So, I don't know how that happens. I will say, however, I'm pretty sure I saw Kogure's book in one of the Lupin Ranger shots. So, I don't know if they open the safe and get the Lupin Rangers out, and that's how Siren Striker gets there. They could pull a switcheroo. I feel like the solution is going to, in part, be they somehow manage to get the book in there, and the Lupin Rangers basically just shove the rest of the collection piece into the book. And that's how they defang Degranio. But, yeah, other than that, it's really hard to tell if that's going to be the last thing the Lupin Rangers are able to do before they fucking die. Because the episode is called, Until We Meet Again, which is ominous.
Oh, we'll meet again. Don't know where. Don't know when.
Yeah. Part of the problem is, again, the shot of them in the safe in this episode was really good and actually works as a, final shot.
Yeah, I joked that instead of cutting to any action, it was just going to cut to that shot with dialogue over it. Mm-hmm. For any scenes the Lupin Rangers are supposed to be in.
But yeah, I did snapshot that image, just because it's a good image in general. The other problem is, man, either way it goes would actually be, a really good ending. Because either you get the ending where Kaichiro has to go through with his role in all of this, because they had the moment where Kairi said, I can't be you, you can't be me. And the Lupin Rangers' whole thing is, more of an individual thing, where the Pat Rangers are more about saving society. So it would be fitting for a tragic end in which Kaitro does have to think about society first rather than what he wants to do. But it would also be a fitting ending if Kaitro just said fuck that and managed to figure out a way to get them out. You know, even if your goal is to save everyone, you can really make that mean everyone, not just the majority. But yeah, I guess if they magic out the collection, then technically they could get a wish and bring the Lupin Rangers back anyway, so...
So, listening to you agonize about this is, great and all, but we have a simple solution to finding out what's going to happen in the next episode.
You know what I know what isn't going to happen? Kaitro's not going to call that one girl that had a crush on him. That's not going to happen.
Oh no, Mana! No, she's going to be alone. Because Kaitro's a fucking idiot.
But anyway, yeah.
Because he's going to punch him in the throat.
Alright, yeah, let's end it off there.
Yeah, we need to watch the next episode. That does it for this episode. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at LRVSPR. Fefner's at FefnerMasamune. If you want to email us, you can email us at LupinRecap via PatReview@gmail.com. And we will see you in the next episode. Adieu.
Adieu.